Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergog, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at what happened in the world of Overlord before Ainz Ooal Gown has arrived in the new world. And today we will take a look at the timeline 200 years before Ainz. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as say thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's get to the topic at hand. 200 years before Ainz Ooal Gown came to the new world was a very unusual time. Normally, as the theocracy of Slain found out after extensive observation and presumably years of painful occupation by the 8 great kings, players arrive in force every 200 years, upsetting the established order. But this was an interesting year for a very different reason. Unlike the appearance of the so-called 6 great gods, who were players that founded the theocracy of Slain 600 years before Ainz and 400 years before the events of this video, or the appearance of the 8 great kings, who came with their guild base intact, there were surprisingly few, or rather surprisingly weak players arriving. And before we go to the weak players who made it into the new world, let's first take a look at the Minotaur King, or Minotaur Sage, or the All-Talk Sage, as he is labeled by others who are not in the reach of his mighty axe, because he talks a lot about supposed brilliant inventions like electricity or a fridge, but he has no idea how to build them. But still, this individual was by far one of the strongest players to come to the new world during this time. Even today, 200 years after his arrival, there are still stories about him, and he was apparently so powerful that a single swing of his axe could split the very sky in two. Possibly because his axe was a world-class item, the very thing that might have transported him to the new world, or because he was simply level 100 and thus extremely strong, regardless of any world item. Alternatively, it could also just be propaganda, and legends told about him 200 years after his arrival. In any case, this player is likely no longer among the living, because as a Minotaur he is just a demi-human, and not a heteromorph, meaning that he could die of old age. But anyhow, during his lifetime, he not only founded the still powerful Minotaur Kingdom, which, along with other powerful realms, constantly fights for supremacy in the center of the nameless continent, but he was also an enormously strong warrior. Under certain aspects, he might even have been a member of the 13 Heroes, that legendary group of heroes that consisted of way more than just 13 heroes and that defeated the evil deities. Or he just simply ruled his kingdom until he died. And 2 domestic policies of the Minotaur King are still preserved today. First, he improved the status of human living in the Minotaur Kingdom by a great degree. He upgraded them from mere food to forced labor. Second, he promoted the so-called surgery, a barbaric practice where instead of just using healing magic to cure any illness, the body is cut open to remove diseased parts or to heal diseases. And with that said, we move on to Evileye. 200 years before Ainz Ooal Gown, she was still alive, and the princess of Invernia, the kingdom of the rainbow eyes. And they were small humanoids with a natural talent for all kinds of elemental magic, something that was particularly strong in Evileye, and she also possessed a talent that allowed her to mirror and copy magic. So when Cure Elim Los Malvar performed an occult ritual to exterminate all life in the kingdom and make himself powerful undead servants, Evileye unknowingly copied that spell and became the vampire princess we know today. Later, Evileye joined the 13 Heroes and fought alongside the 13 Heroes who again were more than just 13 people against the so-called evil deities. These beings were not only extremely powerful, but attacked anything they could, almost as if they were NPC monsters from Yggdrasil Online that were also summoned to the new world. And it was during this period that Evileye developed the spell that would later allow her to defeat Entoma Vasilisa Zeta, Verminbane. It was a spell that was not only a hard counter against the Pleiades battlemate, but also against the insect god, one of the evil deities she apparently defeated with the aid of this very spell. The 2 players who joined the 13 heroes were also involved in this conflict, and they were transported to the new world, and allegedly one player fought the other to the bitter end. And upon the death of the second player, he apparently refused any resurrection magic, as he simply did not want to live anymore. This at least happened according to Platinum Dragonlord, who has no problem betraying his so-called friends, so take this intel with a grain of salt. And he too, in the form of his armor, fought against the evil deities and watched as the weakest member of the team became the strongest, which might have led Platinum to dispose of the lead of the 13 heroes. Because as a player, he still posed a danger, at least in the mind of Platinum, to the entire world. Nonetheless, the heroes managed to defeat the evil deities and save the very world, or rather what was left of it, as many nations were destroyed, or at least shattered into many pieces. For example, the city-state alliance of Karnasus is nothing more than a remnant of a once united country that perished in the war's chaos and destruction. Yet through this destruction new opportunities arose, and the available land was taken over by new emerging nations like the Baharut Empire, the Holy and the Dragon Kingdom, and of course well protected by its geography, the Kingdom of Riestais. They were all young and initially struggling nations, to which the future now belonged. So overall, this war against the evil deities was so important that despite all internal disputes that it brought together completely different people from all walks of life, something the Theocracy of Slain did not appreciate at all, as they now firmly claim that only 13 human heroes saved the world. The Theocracy also contributed something else to this hero myth, as they founded the Modern Adventurer Guild, an organization that defends humanity against monsters far away from any state control, and that operates across borders in order to ensure a unified response to any monstrous threats. Only through near absolute neutrality in internal power struggles could the Adventurer Guild and the Theocracy behind it earn the tolerance of the other states towards the armed and otherwise leaderless troops in their very own territory. But of course, for the sake of humanity, this was a rewarding compromise. Also, Fluder Paradyne lived at this time and became a powerful caster after being inspired by a traveling magic caster who had visited his old home village 200 years before Ainz. However, despite his prowess, he was denied entry to the lost capital of the 8 kings of Crete and was turned away, something that did not happen to the 13 heroes. Nevertheless, 200 years before Ainz, the foundation was laid for Fluder Paradyne's rise to court magician in the forming Baharut Empire. In addition to all of this, in the Great Forest of Top, something remarkable also began happening. Not only was Hamuske born, but Cital Quay, the great evil sealed tree, began awakening, devouring the surrounding forest, causing the Dark Elves to flee their old homeland. This creature was likely one of the evil deities that was not found and fought due to its remote location of the forest. And only Ainz would later succeed in removing the tree 200 years after it devoured the home of the elves. Or it is perhaps even older, but that is a story for another time. The Dwarven Kingdom was also affected by 2 significant events during this period of heightened conflict. One of the evil deities attacked the capital, leaving it in ruins and severely weakening the Dwarven Kingdom, which marked the beginning of their decline, motivating the Dwarven King to leave his realm in order to avenge his homeland. And while he was gone, increased contact with the outside world led to the spread of tear magic, This type of magic gradually replaced the traditional rune magic or rune craft that the dwarves traditionally used over the course of the next 200 years, until the Sorcerer King intervened and worked hard to preserve and then later sell the runecraft again, after inviting the runesmiths into his newly founded Sorcerer Kingdom. And that concludes the timeline 200 years before Ainz Ooal Gown. And now it's your turn. What are your thoughts on the topic of the video? And of course about the video itself, let me know it down in the comment section. And while you type, I say thank you very much for watching. Thanks to all of my Patreons for supporting this channel, and special thanks to Arder Daddy Arder, ASK, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Din Pep, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Ferachivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Moreno, Hoss, Haster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loverazor, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, oh hell no, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pentum, Personage, Rhinomere, Cune Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Zinukai, and Zonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.